Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast at Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all can be with us. Going to bring in our friends over on Instagram so they can be a part of our conversation. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live. I'm so excited about this next guest. I was just saying to Alan Gratz, had a chance to interview him some 4 years ago with his book, Ground Zero. This week, he's releasing two books that are going to be great not only for young readers, but also for all of us when it comes to great stories in history. And we're now live on the Amazon platform with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the two books by our next guests that are coming out this week. We're excited to welcome New York Times bestselling author Alan Gratz to our broadcast. He's celebrating this week the release of this book, War Games. You guys can see there in the carousel, but also this book here, Refugee, as well. We're going to talk to Alan not only about his own love of history, but what it's been like for him to share that with all of you. Alan, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, hey, Cyrus. It's great to be back.
Look, the pleasure's definitely all mine. You have a busy week ahead of you. These two books are coming out on Tuesday for those who are joining us live. They're already top bestsellers on Amazon as well. What has it been like for you, Alan, to be able to not only share your love of history, but also storytelling with your audience?
I love writing for middle grade readers. I mean, middle grade, for those people who don't know the term, is like ages 8 to 14. So it's like upper elementary through middle school, sometimes even up into high school a little bit. But I love writing for this age because to me, like, we use the word young adult a lot in publishing terms, but in talking about the readers themselves, I really feel like they are young adults. Like, they are out on, during the school day, they're out at recess, they're playing kickball, they're horsing around. But then when they come into the classroom, they're earnestly thinking about who they are going to grow up to be. They are adults in the making. They are deciding who they want to be in their community and in the larger world. And I love writing books for kids in that transitional moment. I think it's a huge moment in our personal development. And I love writing books that appeal to those kids right in that time.
And Alan, what I've enjoyed about your work as someone who is older than young adults is that you make history something that is not only enjoyable to learn, but also you kind of bring us into the experience. As I mentioned, I keep going back to Ground Zero. For those who don't know, Ground Zero is about 9/11, 2001, and you really help to not only to remind us of not only that time, but also the impact on lives. Has that been part of the thing you've heard from readers of different ages, how you really have made history live for them?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing is writing a page turning story. No matter what I have to say about history or what I want to get across about a historical moment, if I can't keep my young readers reading, there's no point. Like, they're going to put the book down, they're going to go play a video game or go outside and play or watch something online or watch a movie or something. And
Yeah.
so, like, I'm not a kill your video games, kill your TV kind of guy. I feel like if I'm going to keep that audience, I want to compete with those. Like, I love all that stuff myself. So when
Right.
I write a book, I'm trying to write a book that a kid can't put down. So that's job number one for me. Like, when I was a kid, I was a really reluctant reader, and I was doing 10 other things besides reading every day, every moment of every day. But I still did read. And I remember that it took a really engaging book to make me sit still and read that. So job number one for me is writing a page turner. And then beyond that, what I'm trying to do is bring history to life in a way that makes it personal for kids. We often talk about history in terms of statistics. And, we have dates and we have numbers that we have to memorize for history tests. And I think the way to really get history across to young readers is to make it personal, to give a historical event names and faces, people that we can follow and root for and care for, and then understand the larger historical moment through what's going on with those characters.
Love that. Such a great point. I want to say for those joining us on Instagram, hello to you. I am Resilient. It's good to be able to see you. The Real Lady Extreme, hello to you as well. And I appreciate you guys over there on Amazon as well. If you guys have not already pre-ordered the two new books by Alan Gratz, make sure you guys do that again, War Games and Refugee. So you have two different books in many ways here, Alan. You have the graphic novel, of course, Refugee, that I have here, but also War Games. You know, we all have heard that saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. This book is so immersive, the graphic novel Refugee, but I love the perspectives you're able to bring. How did you decide the stories you want to tell in this one?
So, right. So the Refugee, the prose novel, came out in 2017, and now we've got Refugee, the graphic novel. So it's a graphic novel adaptation of the original book. And that original book, Refugee, has been my biggest book by far. It spent more than 5 years on the New York Times bestseller list. It's read in schools across the country and around the world. And so when we were thinking about like which of my books should we try to adapt for a graphic novel, it was like the obvious first choice. So I wrote the script all the way back in 2020. And we took a long time looking for just the right artist. As you say, like a picture is worth 1,000 words, and you've got to find the person who's going to bring that story to life in just the right way. And so it took us more than a year. And finally, we looked at lots of different artists and different styles. And we finally found a guy named Sid Feeney, and he lives in Brooklyn. He's Iranian American. His art is fantastic. I know you've got a copy of it there to see. The way he brings characters to life, the way he brings backgrounds and settings to life. Like he has this amazing way of drawing like the real world so that the panels look like you're watching a movie. And yet the characters still have a little bit of that cartoonish animated style that lets you know you're reading a graphic novel. But there's like a cast of 20 characters in this book too, and he makes each of them come to life in such a unique way that you're never confused about who's what character. He does such great character work, such great background work. It was a real pleasure to work with Sid. And in fact, as you talked about with Ground Zero, that's the next book that we're going to turn into a graphic novel. He's working on that one right now. So it was amazing. And like I said before, one of the things I'm trying to do with historical fiction is to give a face and a name to these events. Well, Sid literally gives faces to these characters.
Yeah. Such a great point. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live, but we're simulcasting it for social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. I have the privilege of speaking with New York Times bestselling author Alan Gratz. I had a chance to interview him a few years ago with his book, Ground Zero. He's now out this week with two books, War Games and also Refugee, that we just talked about. And again, the thing about War Games, I'm going to highlight it for our audience over on the Amazon side, is that I love the story here, but there's other, I think one of the big lessons for myself as a 50-year-old reading this book, Alan, is that it shows that young people not only are interested in the world, but also how they can make the world better, how they can make the world different, and that they can have a part in moving things forward. How important has that been for you to share messages like War Games and other books?
Yeah, to me, that is key to what I do, right? I mean, I'm always writing books about history, but the main characters in my books are kids. And giving kids agency in a story is difficult. Kids in the real world don't have a lot of agency in their own lives. They have parents telling them what to do. They have teachers and administrators telling them what to do. You know, they can't drive to places on their own. They don't have credit cards. You know, they don't have spending power. They can't vote. So there's all these reasons why kids feel like they don't have an influence on the world. In my books, I'm trying to tell them, you do have an influence on the world. You have a huge influence on the world. The biggest way is with their voice. And I always try to tell kids through my books that one of the things that you can do is when you read these stories and you come to care about the people in them or the events in them or the political situations in them, that what you can do is raise your voice as kids and say, we think things should be different, and here's how we think things should change. And it may be that it takes becoming an adult to have all those different powers, in front of them. But if you look at somebody like Greta Thunberg, who's been fighting for climate change, for the recognition of climate change and fighting against all the politics around climate change. She's a kid. She started as a middle schooler doing that.
Yeah.
So all of my main characters are kids who find themselves in really dangerous or really outsized situations and have to find a way to deal with that. So, like, for example, in War Games, it's a story of 13-year-old Evie Harris, who goes to the 1936 Berlin Olympics to compete in gymnastics for the United States. And she's not political at all. She just wants to go, like most of the other athletes, and compete and not worry about politics. She sees Adolf Hitler up in the stands and knows that there were calls to boycott the Olympics on the American side, but she's just there to win a gold medal. But the longer she stays in Berlin, the more she realizes all the darkness that is behind the glitz and glamour of the Olympics and Berlin's return to glory. And when she sees all this bad stuff happening, as a kid, she's like, I just wanted to come here and be a gymnast. I just wanted to come here and compete. But she has this really strong sense of justice, and she knows she has to do something about it. So she joins a group of international athletes who are trying to rob the German National Bank while they're in town to stick it to the Nazis. So I combined a heist story and a sports story into one.
Love it. It's two great books, Alan, and we're so glad we could be able to celebrate this week with you, as the two of them are releasing on Tuesday. Again, everyone, Alan Gratz has been our guest. Make sure you guys are following him also on his website at alangratz.com. And Alan, congratulations again, and thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cyrus. It's awesome to be with you again.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.